想象一些有轮子的东西，你会想到什么？一辆小黄车，对吗？或者是汽车，或者是电动车。当提到轮子，人们想到的都是与运输相关的东西，比如交通工具。然而 ，Smithsonian 曾经说过，在公元前3500年前，轮子被首先发明用于制造，以帮助两河流域的制造工人提高制造的速度和质量。直到300年以后，轮子才被用来帮助交通。先是在希腊和中国用轮子发明渡轮车，之后最终被用于制造战车和人民交通，是不是很酷啊？是我才疏学浅，以上就是所有我会说的中文了，所以我接下来我会用英文来讲一讲。So now, fast forward over 5,000 years later to 1873, where a boy named Chester Greenwood, who liked to ice skate in the winter, had a problem. His problem is that he got frostbite on his ears every time he was outside ice skating, and he couldn't solve this problem like everyone else by wearing a wool hat because he was allergic to wool. So what did Chester do? He came up with his own solution. He made ear-shaped loops out of a piece of wire and sewed fur on them. You all might know this invention as earmuffs. Now, he might not have invented Hello Kitty earmuffs, but they've been improved over time to become cuter. So though some people initially doubted whether it was worth manufacturing and pursuing as a product, Chester convinced his classmates and his community why his new invention worked better, and he eventually started this business manufacturing earmuffs. And over the course of many years, he continued to make improvements on his invention to make them more comfortable and cost-efficient. So let's think about Chester's invention process for a minute. Chester's invention process fostered certain skills. He had to think creatively to solve his problems. He had to be resourceful with the materials around him. He had to be flexible, resilient, and persistent to setbacks and disappointments. And he had to communicate the value of his invention to his classmates and to his community. And so today, we see a great need for schools to also find a way to foster and encourage many of these skills that Chester learned. So in fact, research conducted by Harvard University and Stanford Research Center show that 85% of job success actually comes from having well-developed soft skills, so critical thinking, problem solving, communication skills, and people skills. And only 15% of success really comes from the technical skills and knowledge. And so this idea of understanding how things work, why they were designed that way, and thinking critically about how to improve or adapt them are incredibly valuable lessons that can be taught and learned in children much younger than Chester. So how do we encourage this type of thinking and learning? Many youth programs that exist today focus on problem solving and STEM at its core, but few really extend to originality, creativity, and idea generation. And so ultimately, the goal with education is not really to prepare students for something, but it's really to help our students prepare themselves for anything. And so today I'm here to tell you 3 reasons why I think invention is one of the most powerful tools we can use to set our students up for success. So first, invention helps level the playing field. So what do I mean by this? All over the world, there's still gaps in educational equality for all students, which are caused by many factors, such as access and distribution of resources, poverty, healthcare, the list goes on. So how can invention help? Well, in Chicago, where I started the Chicago Student Invention Convention 5 years ago, 85% of our students came from low-income families. And with Invention Convention, the message we gave our student inventors is that anyone, regardless of the resources they have at hand, can come up with a good idea, and that all students have to be resourceful in designing and building their initial prototype. And in fact, a lot of initial prototyping can be done with just a cardboard box, just like these VR glasses. So teachers are also able to help use invention to bridge skills gaps. Some teachers will focus more on presentation skills, others will incorporate technical computer skills, and still others might spend more time on prototyping skills, just depending on the needs of their students. And because invention touches on many traditional classroom subjects, it's really easy to integrate them into existing curriculum, not just in science classes where we often see more participatory-based STEM programs. So as a result, we see thousands of students from all socioeconomic backgrounds, races, genders, learning abilities, and learning styles engaged in the process of invention. I've also seen students with various forms of learning abilities, autism, ADD, and more, really succeed and thrive with invention programs, just like the diverse set of Chicago students you see here on the screen. So second, invention really celebrates process and encourages us to embrace failure as an opportunity. So this mentality of embracing failure, it starts changing the more traditional mentality that we have in our society today that failure somehow reflects weakness or a lack of intelligence. And this is called a fixed mindset, that we're born with a certain set of skills and competencies, and that trying something new might expose a weakness instead of an opportunity for growth and development. And as adults, we all know how hard it is to kind of change from this fixed mindset to more of a growth mindset, where you step outside your comfort zone, and by doing so, you continually develop yourself and define your own levels of success. This also allows us to see failure and criticism as additional opportunities for learning and development. Now in education, when one of my teacher friends practices developing a growth mindset with her students, she often adds the word "yet" to a statement. So I haven't figured out the solution yet. Deanna isn't able to articulate her invention yet. Invention gives students this opportunity to develop this growth mindset at an early age, which will really be invaluable for them for the rest of their lives. I also think it's a really clear-cut way for students of all ages to become more self-aware and conscientious of their own failures in a risk-free state. And growing up, I often heard about the persistence of James Dyson. He's a British inventor and founder of the Dyson Company, and he's a great example of someone who embraces failure. When he was inventing his first vacuum cleaner, he spent over 15 years creating over 5,000 prototypes before he made one that worked. That's a lot of failure to go through. And in fact, we're starting to see this mindset and culture change right here in China with the rise of the entrepreneur culture. China is now the world's second largest producer of what we call unicorns, non-listed companies valued at over $1 billion US, including Didi, Xiaomi, and our favorite Waimai companies, Meituan and Dazhong Dianping. And according to China's Ministry of Science and Technology, there are now over 115 university parks and over 1,600 technology business incubators that provide services to aspiring entrepreneurs. So third, invention is empowering. When students have the opportunity to independently develop and really own their own unique idea, they become the sole experts of their invention. They often also start with needs that are important to them or important to people in their community and around them. And this makes them feel empowered to share their ideas, empowered to continue to persist, and empowered to really embrace their role as an inventor. So some interesting research done by two researchers from the US National Institute of Health make the case for something called the creative stereotype effect, which shows that students were more likely to come up with creative, original ideas when they were asked to think like an eccentric poet, kind of like a role play, because it removes any self or socially imposed restraints on creative thinking. And so similarly, we see when students really put their thinking caps on, put their inventor hats on, and adopt the persona of an inventor, it really empowers them to come up with more creative ideas and embrace their problem-solving side. So I'll give you a couple of examples. At some invention display days and competition days, I often see my student inventors show up with business cards, wearing suits or matching outfits, or sometimes in different costumes, whatever makes them feel like an inventor, because they're able to completely embrace this persona. And these student inventors actually invented a drum made with low-cost recycled resources to help provide musical instruments to low-income schools. Pretty great idea. You can also see that they're really fully embracing their persona as an inventor too. I've even seen students selling their products to other students. So this student invented a type of portable accessory holder. And when I put in my order for one, she said that she had so many orders, mine would be on back order for a couple of months. Now, I wouldn't be able to stand here today talking to you about the power of youth invention unless I had a personal connection to it. I participated in invention programs as a young student, and I really credit them for influencing my own personal growth and development. When I was 10 years old, one of my classmates, Nick, and I decided that we wanted to participate in an invention program. At the time, I think we just wanted an excuse not to do homework, but you can see in these pictures that, well, we're a little older, but we saw enough value in our experience to come back and promote invention with the future generation. Now, our first year as an invention team, we invented something called the backpack binder. It was a zipper binder with straps on it that we could minimize what we had to carry to take to school. I can't remember if we were recognized or won anything or not, although I did just find this invention for sale online, so if we didn't, we should have been. But what I do remember is this feeling that we had accomplished something on our own. And I think my experience as a student inventor really reflects the same way that many students, including Nick, feel about their experience. The ability to really own an idea and to be able to share it with everyone. Okay, so now I've talked about how invention levels the playing field, allows us to embrace failure, and empower students. So how do we begin? How do we foster an environment where students enjoy practicing all of these invention skills while simultaneously learn how to persist through these cycles of failure and success? My first message is to teachers. Teachers, no matter what resources or facilities you have, you can empower your students to explore the community they live in, identify problems, and come up with resourceful and creative solutions. And by creating this culture in your classroom where students really put their inventor hats on, they can be encouraged to be creative and unafraid to fail. And you'll start to see students empowering each other to solve problems too. My next message is to our students. Students, practice being an inventor. Just like a successful musician, entrepreneur, or TED Talk speaker has to practice, inventors get better at solving problems over time after they practice and practice. So you've probably already invented something and you don't even realize it. So think about a time that you might have helped your parents or your friends or your teacher solve a problem. How did you do it? The next time your family needs help, offer to help them out. First, try to figure it out on your own, and then see how someone else did it. Can you improve the way they did it? And finally, student support doesn't just come from teachers. We also need parents to get involved. So parents, you can teach your children how to solve problems and to be creative and resourceful by leading by example at home. So for example, the next time your dog spills her dog food for the 4th time, which we know can all be incredibly frustrating, don't immediately search online for solutions or pick up the dog food yourself. Ask your kids to help you out. Ask them to think about how they can solve this problem for you. And believe me, over the past 5 years, I've seen a lot of solutions for picking up dog food and cat food, probably because these students have to clean it up themselves or keep getting blamed for it. But I know there's a lot of opportunities for more ideas out there. And so going back to my Potter wheel story, we may not want to reinvent the wheel, but it's still important to understand why the wheel was invented, and maybe even find a way to improve it. And in fact, I did a search on the US Patent and Trademark Office website, and just since 1976, I found over 25,000 patents have been granted with the word wheel in its title. So that's a lot of people looking to improve the wheel, and your student might just be the next one. Thank you.